I guess the woman that walked into your clinic that day was lost. I'd lost myself.
In women in that sort of 40s, coming up into that 50 zone, because we give so much to our families, to everyone around us, we do forget about ourselves. And then I think we come into this an awakening period where we go, well, I've done that. What's for me now?
Welcome to Your Second Act, the podcast that proves that life doesn't have to end at 40, 50, or even 60, because when it comes to living your best life, age is just a number. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Your Second Act. Now, today's episode is a special one because I'm celebrating a big milestone in my podcast journey, 50 episodes. I honestly can't believe I've made it this far. And I want to take a moment to thank you all for listening, because without your support, I wouldn't be doing this and I wouldn't be doing something that really fulfills me. Now, to celebrate, I thought it'd be nice to share how I got to this point, because trust me, before I launched the podcast, I was feeling really lost and directionless. And that all changed when I crossed paths with an incredible woman who helped me take the first step. Now, Annie White is a holistic kinesiologist who works with people to calm and rebalance their nervous system. And she has this amazing hands on approach that integrates the mind and the body, helping to restore a sense of calm and clarity. Annie was instrumental in helping me start this journey. So I've invited her to join me on the podcast to have an open and honest conversation about my path to getting here. And to connect with Annie and learn more about how she could possibly help you, I will leave all her details in the show notes. I've always believed in being transparent about my experiences, because if sharing my story can help someone else feeling stuck or worthless or directionless, then it's worth it. If I can make a change, big or small, then trust me, you can do it as well. But before we get into the episode, I want to let you know about an amazing event happening in February called Your Second Act Thriving in Midlife. I'm proud to be co hosting this transformative day, which is all about inspiring and empowering midlife women to embrace their next chapter. Tickets are on sale now, and you can find the link to purchase them in the show notes. And I really can't wait to see you all there. So now let's dive into my conversation with Annie. Annie, can you believe I'm celebrating 50 episodes? It feels completely surreal. I knew I wanted to do something special for this milestone. And of course, I thought of you. You've been such a big part of helping me get to this point, and it only feels right to have you here for this episode. Now, I know a lot of women in midlife feel stuck like I did. And I sometimes reflect back on the person I was when I walked into your clinic 2 years ago, not knowing what I wanted, where I was completely lost. So I'm hoping that this episode is going to bring some inspiration to some women who might be feeling how I used to feel. Because seriously, if I can do it, anybody can do it. It just takes the work and working on yourself. So I thought, let's switch things up. I'm going to be the guest for a change, and you're in charge. And I'll do my very best to answer your questions openly and as honestly and authentically as I can. So, Annie, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for inviting me to do this. I feel very privileged and extremely grateful. Um, and I do really remember that day that you walked in, and there was so much going on for you. And it was, I'm lost, I'm stuck, I don't know which way to go. And, you know, I remember you talking a lot about having this mindset of, well, it's all too late. And I'm saying, no, no, it's not too late. And that mindset was holding you back. And I guess, do you want to elaborate a little bit on on having this mindset of it's too late for me. So I've got nowhere to go. So I'm going to stay stuck.
Yeah.
So yeah, what that felt like for you when you came in that day and how that has played out for you in your life.
I think, I through our like our therapy sessions, our treatments, whatever you wanted to call them, conditioning has been something that's come up a lot. And I didn't really understand what conditioning was really all about until we did the work. And I guess I I kind of bring it back to conditioning. I think when I guess when I was in my 20s, it was all about, finding my true love, then having my babies, and then having, a career that I really loved. And then I was ticking all those boxes. And then all of a sudden, I find myself in my late 40s thinking, oh, like, okay, that's great. And I've loved all of that. But who am I? What am I meant to do in life? Like, what am I going to do for the next 40 years? Like, this isn't, apart from my family, obviously, this isn't sparking joy within me anymore. I wasn't happy with my job. I just felt I was really stuck and stale and so scared. I just didn't know how to take that step. You read those things. You read, and I say it all the time, just take that little step. And by taking that little step, it'll open a door. But when you're stuck, you don't even know what step to take. And and I guess for me, that mindset of, well, maybe this is my life now. Maybe this is what midlife is about. It's like I'm getting to a point where I'm older, and then soon enough, I'll probably start playing golf, which I've started. And then we'll retire, and then we'll become grandparents, and then we'll do a bit of traveling, and great. But I thought, but that's not me. Like, I just don't feel like I'm there yet, whatever there means. So I guess the woman that walked into your clinic that day was lost. I'd lost myself in everybody else. So I
Yeah.
hope I explained that properly.
Yeah, you did. It's something that I see so often in women in that sort of 40s coming up into that 50 zone where their kids, because we give so much to our families, to everyone around us, we do forget about ourselves. And then I think we come into this an awakening period where we go, well, I've done that. What's for me now? And it's where we go, well, I don't know which way to go. I don't know what step to take. And is it too late for me? And the thing is, it's never too late. Everybody needs to understand it is just never too late. You are living proof of that. It doesn't matter what time in your life you'd want to move into your second act. You can do it at any time. And you've proven that. And that's letting go and breaking free from that. It's that too late mindset, right? And I wonder, while we're talking about this, could we go into some more of your aspirations? I know how far you've come, and this incredible podcast is here and it's 50 episodes. That is mind blowing. Do you have any other big aspirations or audacious goals for you coming up in the next, you know, 10 years? What are you, yeah, like, have you thought about that?
I'm being honest, I get scared to think that far ahead because I feel like the past 2 years, I've done so much work. I've evolved so much and I've enjoyed it, but it's been hard. It's taken a lot out of me. But then I've been rewarded with the fact that I set out to do what I wanted to do, which was launch the podcast. Because when I came to see you, you said, well, what's stopping you? And like most of us, well, I can't do it. What will people think if I fail? all of those things. And it's that narrative that we constantly tell ourselves. So I think, I like this question because I think we should be ever evolving in life and we should always have, your next goal. Like you can become comfortable, but then you become stale. And that's what I get fearful of is just being again, am I going to be stuck again? Am I going to get bored of the podcast? So I think for me, what I'm thinking of is I really love this space of inspiring women, women in this stage of life. And you and I have spoken about this, about me possibly becoming a coach, a midlife coach that just helps women. And I think because I've come from the place where I've come from, that I can also empathize with them. And I love the thought of helping someone move into that next stage in life. So I'm thinking of that in the new year of, maybe going back to school and learning, which I think that's another fear of mine I've always had of, oh, here we go again. I've got to learn, I've got to do tests, I'm going to be tested. That is a big fear of mine, which, we talk a lot about in our sessions. But I think I'm realizing is that, well, you have to do that in order to move forward. You can't just say, well, I'm too scared to do that, so I'm not going to do it. Because I know that the flip side is if I don't do it, I'm not happy with who I am. So I guess my aspiration is to keep pushing myself and believing myself and challenging myself. I can't tell you what I'll be doing in 10 years' time. I haven't looked that far ahead. Probably maybe a really great golfer. I don't know. I don't even know. I'm not even convinced I like it. But I hope to be really still working in this space because I just think it's such this amazing feeling of women supporting women. It's just becoming bigger and bigger. And everywhere I look, it's the doors are opening and women are coming to me and saying, I love what you're doing. How can I get involved? Or can I come onto your podcast? It's like, wow, we're all collaborating. And then, of course, I'm co hosting this amazing event in February, again, bringing these amazing female speakers together who are more than happy to come and give their time so then other women can take away these tools, these little bits of wisdom that we can all share with each other. So that's that's my hope for my future.
Michelle, I just heard you say that it's been hard and pushing through the boundaries and pushing yourself forward to keep going. And I wonder when you talk about it's been, it hasn't been that easy to actually pull this podcast together. I'm just wondering if you can just tell us a little bit more about that being hard. Is it to do with uncertainty, like uncertainty of yourself, uncertainty of, around the podcast? If you can just tell us a little bit more about what that is.
Well, I guess when you have never done something like this before, even though it brought so much excitement to me just thinking about like how can I do this? Can I do it? It's that imposter syndrome that comes in. It's like, "Hey, you can't do that. You haven't worked in media before. You're not a journalist." And it's all of that. And for a long time, I just believed it in a lot of things that I've done in my life. But but I don't know what it was this time. I just thought, and this was even before I came to see you. I just kept on saying, or something just kept on telling me, no, you have to keep going. It's like every time I tried to block it, something else would come up and say, you have to keep going. So I guess it kept marinating in my mind. And look, the easiest thing to do is to not do it. We can all have lots of thoughts and aspirations, but to do it is the hard part, right? So for me, it was just, yeah, the fear of the unknown, the fear of people thinking, what the hell is she doing? Like, really? Like, that's embarrassing. But even with all of that said, I just got sick of putting myself last. I got sick of like just always being in the background in a sense and watching, I'd watch other people, aspire to new things, or I'd see it on social media and I'd always say, oh, I wish I could do something like that. Why can't I have that? And there's nothing stopping you from having those things, but I was stopping me. So I think when I came to you, I just really needed you to maybe fill in the gaps or I don't know, hold my hand. And it was complete fear driven.
Which is a really normal human response. When you're moving into something so new, um, there can always be an element of fear, but it's being able to contain that and keep it at a manageable level so that it doesn't overtake you
Yeah.
and stop you in your tracks. And, I really take my hat off to you. You were able to do that. And that was so incredible. And I'm just, you know, wonder what actually inspired you to actually to seek a mentor or a coach.
Yeah. I knew I couldn't do it by myself. I just thought, you could talk to your friends and your family and my husband, and they'd all say, just do it. It'll be great. But that's great when you've got their support. But where are the steps? How do you get there? Like I just couldn't see how I could do this. Everything felt too hard, too big. So I think and again, you popped up on a social media ad, like talk about the signs. And I just like the look of you. I thought, maybe she's the one who's going to help me. And here we are 2 years later. I really want to talk about the spiral program that
Yeah.
I did with you, because I think if it wasn't for that, I, I really don't think I'd be sitting here today celebrating 50 episodes.
Oh yeah, it's you did the work, which completely applaud you. It's amazing, but the spiral is an incredible process. And if I go back to what you were saying, like I just didn't know how, and it was like there was something blocking.
Yeah,
There were like emotional blocks and stories and conditioning and emotional baggage sitting there.
huge.
And yeah, huge. And would you be open to talking about some of those blockages that you felt that you were carrying, and these were the things that were inhibiting you being able to move forward into the podcast?
Yeah, sure. Even just the fact that I can openly talk about stuff like this is huge, because
Yeah.
I grew up thinking I was unintelligent. I didn't have a great school experience, and I think not going to university was a really big negative for me. Um, I thought that I wasn't good enough because I didn't go to university, and I placed a lot of importance on education. So through that, it just I don't know, it just came with me through everything I did throughout my life, and it was like, I'm never good enough. So I guess I never pushed myself enough, because I thought, you're not smart enough to do this. So stay where you are, because you won't fail. You've got this. You've got this sorted. And no one's ever going to look at you and think, well, you're stupid. You can't do this. So it was a lot of that. It was just that internal dialogue that I've had since I was a very little girl. And, we're talking now, I'm 54 years old. That's a long, long time to carry that crap. And I was tired of it. And many times throughout my life, I've done things and I've gone, oh, and I've surprised myself, but then I talk myself out of it. And if I look at my life and what I've done, I've achieved so many amazing things. But at the time, I couldn't see it. I just thought, well, that was my lot in life and I just did what I had to do. but I didn't stop and smell the roses, and I took those things for granted. And now I feel very differently about myself. Yeah, I guess I'm not that scared little girl anymore who wants to hide. I mean, look what I'm doing. If I wanted to hide, there's no way I would have done be on a platform like a podcast. Like, hey, everyone, listen to me. So it's kind of interesting that I've chosen this.
Yes, very interesting. And in just coming back into like the spiral, in your own words, how do you feel that process of going through the spiral actually was able to clear all of this conditioning and all of the stories? And what did that feel like for you as you went through this journey?
It's funny, just talking, I've just had a vision of myself wanting to roll up in a ball because when I first started, you were trying to get things from me. And I just was so locked. And I felt like, oh, this woman's going to judge me as well. It took a very long time. But once I kind of let go of a little bit, then it just felt like it was all opening up and it was completely transformative. Every time we would have a session, I would walk away, I'd feel lighter. I'd feel like I was understanding stuff that happened to me in the past, I could make sense of it. Whereas before, I would just ignore it and I didn't want to remember it. And it was like, it just made me feel sad or uncomfortable. But this time, I remember you said to me, you have to learn to sit in the uncomfortableness of your feelings. And I never have done that. I will run. And then I started slowly. God, it took a long time, but slowly, I started to do that. And it just transformed me. It's like I feel that the person that I thought I was, I really wasn't that person after all. I came out the other end. I'm a different Michelle. And I think all that conditioning, all that crap that I've been told all my life was not mine. It was someone else's put onto me. And then I took it on and thought that it was me. And I've realized that no, I think that Michelle had a lot more potential than what she gave herself credit for.
And that is the most perfect way to explain this process. You are actually now the Michelle that you were born to be. Because what happens to us, as you were just saying, is we arrive earthside as babies and we are this beautiful spirit in a body, and the conditioning starts straight away and it continues and it continues and it continues for most of our life. And it's interesting, you said that you feel like you're a completely different person. Well, you are a different person than before you started going through the journey of the spiral, because you were a person that had all of this conditioning from your nearest and dearest, mainly our parents, bless them. And it's part of the passage of life. But you had all of their beliefs, values, and morals. And what happens is, and I see it quite regularly, and it's happened to myself as well, is we get to this age, late 40s, 50s, coming into this age, and it's like we don't recognize ourselves and we don't know which way to go and what to do. And we are shrouded in all of this conditioning. And we start to awaken and realize this. And it's as going through this beautiful journey of the spiral, it is a deconditioning process, which is so incredibly, profoundly transformational, which you are living proof of. And it allows us to let go of all of these stories, the ones that you were just talking about, that you've carried from childhood all the way through, that have been things that have really been very limiting, and created limiting beliefs around these stories. And so being able to free ourselves of that, that's what spirals does. It goes through all of the layers of our emotional conditioning. We start to break that down. We let go of it. And the person that you move back you are into is the person that you were born to be.
Yeah.
And it's exactly what you're experiencing right now is you are now, after going through spiral, you are the person that you were born to be. And this is why you're able to move forward and to do all of these amazing things, and knowing that there are no limits for you. You can have whatever you want. It's a fact.
Yeah.
And you've proven that by actually doing this podcast. You've defied everything.
It's true. I never thought I was going to do it. That's for sure. It was like a dream. I wish. And yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, I do, of course, I'm human and I doubt myself. And I have for the last 2 years. It's like, am I doing what I'm really meant to be doing? And does it sound good? Is it stupid or am I stupid? But there's still something in me that says, no, keep going. You're fine. I think I was placing so much importance on what other people thought of me.
Yes.
And really, no one really cares that much. It's what you think of yourself. And when I hear these stories of women who feel so lost, going through menopause, it's hard, right? It's a hard thing to go through. And I just want to say to them, it doesn't have to be like this. There is help. You can get help. And you know what? We all can't do it by ourselves. If you can, great. Read all the books, do the work. Fabulous. I personally could not. And what I wanted to ask you is for people that are listening who might be thinking, well, what do you do? What's a spiral session like? I mean, how would you say it differs from, say, normal therapy?
Okay. The beautiful, amazing thing and how it differs is it it's a process and a framework for you to be able to go within. You get to really feel. And I've had so many clients say to me, wow, I used to think I could feel, but I'd never really felt. I realize now I've never really felt. It gives you an ability that creates a space for you to go in and feel the emotions, feel what's going on in your body. And from there, you're able to release it. And you spoke about sitting with the uncomfortable. And that's what we need to do, because we get caught in these busy lives. And so we live by constant distraction. So we never really have to sit with ourselves or really sit and go inward. And what the process is creating this beautiful space for you to be able to go in and create the space for you to be open to allow things to come up, because we're working with the subconscious.
Yeah.
And this is held within. We're not working with the conscious thoughts because we can control those. We're actually working so much deeper in the cell, in the subconscious, and we're releasing from there. The body holds on to so much emotional, I'm going to say frequency, because we are really talking energy here.
Yeah. Which is very interesting.
Yes, it is very much an energetic process, and it differs in that way from, if we were to say, like true cognitive behavioral therapy, which is awesome, but this actually goes deeper.
Yeah.
It goes deeper into the subconscious, and we are releasing from a much deeper centered place within the body. And that's where the real results come through. And that's where they come from. And it is a real art to be able to go in and feel. And when you can do that is when you can really start releasing. So we're not working with the head and the thoughts. We do work with that, but alongside, that is a counseling component of it, but it's alongside with this much deeper energetic work of
Mm.
actually clearing and releasing. And that's why you feel lighter. You mentioned that you felt lighter and different after the sessions. And
Yeah.
that's because releasing, energetically releasing all of the frequency around the low vibrating emotions.
Yeah.
Emo-
Yeah.
Shame, grief, guilt, fear, anxiety, all of those emotions.
Yeah. And what, like, what you just said that, when I'd leave, I'd feel lighter. But to be truthful, sometimes I would also have that sense of anger.
Mm,
That anger of, I can't believe that all these years I've fed this narrative to myself. And, I think I said it to you. Someone's like, I feel like it's been a waste. Like I've prevented myself for so long from being who I really was, from doing what I wanted to do. But I realized that it's not a waste. We've come to this point for a reason. But you go through, and that's what I want people to understand. You go through a lot. It's not like, oh my gosh, I've had an epiphany. It's not necessarily like that. But I what I've really appreciated is that I've gone through all the emotions connected to what brought me to you in the first place. And I think if I hadn't have done that, I don't think I would be sitting here talking to you. There were times that I felt sad about things. There are other times that I felt free and like, oh wow, I really understand now. But more than anything, it was that light bulb that went off, the one that I had been wanting to switch on for a very long time. Because when people say to you, well, what is it that you like to do? Think about the things that you like to do. I hate when people say that because I don't know. What? And then people say, oh, I came up with this amazing thing. And I'd sit there and I'd go, well, why doesn't that happen for me? But now I realize that I had to go through the work in order to work it out. As
yep.
silly as it sounds, but it's true. It's sometimes you gotta dig in deep to work it out, and it does come. It does. And for people that are sitting there thinking, "Well, it's not coming. I don't know what I'm meant to do. I feel really stuck. I'm frustrated." It's you've gotta give yourself the time and the space to really work it out. It's not always gonna happen overnight, but I could not have done it without your guidance. I just don't think I could have done it.
Thank you. You did all the work. And it is exactly as you say, it's a real step by step process.
Mm.
And so is life. It's it's just about being consistent. And I always think too, it's looking for the breadcrumbs of where's my next path of direction, and that is just step. And we don't need to put pressure on ourselves. What we need to
Yeah.
do is to clear all this baggage that we carry. And we
Yeah.
all carry, all of us, every single one of us. I always think of the emotion of shame, and I I think to myself, and I have a little chuckle, the times that you feel so deeply, in shame about something. Well, I've realized now that everybody, if we don't, we're not human if we don't feel shame. And we're all so caught up in our own shame that no one stops to look at yours. And so when you realize that, that's
Yeah,
really, and it's
that's
just
true.
about, it's exactly true. And
Mm.
shame being the lowest vibrating emotion on the scale of consciousness, because really what we're talking about today, and what Michelle, you've been through, is a consciousness awakening. And it's a complete change of energetic vibration. And that consciousness awakening comes from going through this incredible spiral journey and letting go of all of the conditioning around the low vibrating emotions. And through that, it will bring up the times when the conditioning has been reinforced around these emotions.
Yeah.
And when you clear that, it's like, oh, you can stand up and actually become you. And it feels so right. You'd be a testament to that. What does it feel like to you to be in this energetic alignment?
I feel I feel a sense of contentment. I feel like me. I feel like I've finally found me. and not what I thought I was. So I feel, you know, of course life gets in the way and
Yeah.
you don't always feel amazing, but I do. I just, and well, interestingly, my family saw a massive difference in me. So it's not just me feeling it, it's how
Yeah.
they viewed me. And as I was going through it, I was saying, wow, mum, like you just seem so different. My husband as well, he just said, you're way calmer. You seem to think with logic more than, you know, get really
React.
angry or, yes, reactive and be quite passionate and angry about things. And yeah, I think that's really helped my nervous system a lot. It's calmed the nervous system. It's so now how I would have reacted normally, I find that that's changing. And I continue to change. That's the other thing. It's not like it's just an overnight thing and then this is who I am. No, I really feel like I'm learning more and more about me and that's really exciting and that's what I love about the future. It's like, well, what else is going to happen? So, yeah, I'm so grateful to have done that. I think that was a gift I gave myself, and I think I gave it to myself at the right stage in life because it's tricky. This stage is tricky. We're
It's
dealing with a lot. I'm dealing with a mother who's going through cancer at the moment, and that's another thing that surprised me that I never thought I would be able to emotionally handle the upheaval that comes along with something like that, and I'm fine. And I feel very confident within myself that I can get through this alongside her. I don't think the old Michelle could have done that. I think I would have broken to little pieces. I would have crumbled.
That's
So,
incredible. That is
great.
incredible. That is incredible. That's so transformational, and I
It is.
just love it. It's life changing. There is no other way. It's
Yeah.
ability to be able to you move forward in life in such a different capacity, and it's I often say once you go through this spiral journey, you look at life from a very different lens. You're able to put things into perspective and you are not as reactive. You come from a calmer nervous system perspective where you are able to respond over being reactive. And that is a game changer for
Yeah.
all tips. I mean, you mentioned your family could see the difference,
Yeah.
and it changes all of your relationships, your friends,
Mm.
kids, partners, all of it,
Yeah.
because this incredible grounded space.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That's true. It's the only word I can describe it as is it's transformative. That's it. That's the only way I can describe it. And some people might be thinking, oh, that sounds a little bit woo woo. It's not. It really is not. And not once did I feel like this is so weird. I didn't. It's just like it just felt like, oh, finally, finally something that just fits me, that I can feel free to be and say whatever it is that I wanted to say in this space. And I think that's what I needed. I mean, I have been to therapy over the years, and I guess different things that I was going through, it kind of helped me, but still, I don't know. I don't think it really changed me. Whereas I feel this has, it
Mm.
has. And
Way
yeah,
hard to describe.
yeah. And, look, it helped me get to this point. It helped me start the podcast. I guess it's given me tools to be confident and believe in myself. And that's why I so wanted to do this episode. I mean, I thought of just getting on the mic and talking about this myself, but I'm really happy that you've come on to help me because, you've got a way of bringing things out as well. And yeah, I just really wanted my listeners to know that, you might listen to me every week and think, that I've got it sorted, or, wow, she's doing this podcast, how amazing, or not. But I want you to understand that I did start somewhere. I just didn't like sit here and go for it. It came from a lot of work and a lot of self-belief. And yeah, and that's when I say, if I could do it, you can do it. You just have to either get the help you need to take those steps. And there are different avenues that people can take, but know that it's all possible. It really, really is.
It is. And I know how passionate you are about inspiring other women, hence why you have this incredible podcast. And, you know, I just want to ask you, what is it in that that drives you? What is this drive that to inspire others to be able to take the leap? So important to you. I know it is. What is that?
Well, I've always liked helping others. I get a lot of satisfaction out of it. To bring joy to others is huge. And I think that's why I do it. I think also for a long time I felt like I was seen and not heard. And here I have
Uh,
this platform that I can actually express myself with the hope of helping others. And I love another thing, I love listening to stories. So listening to other women's perspectives on life and their wisdom, I take something away from it every single time I have a conversation, and I feel so lucky. So, yeah, it's constantly learning from others, it's helping others, and that's what drives me. I love it. And when I get these notes from strangers that I don't know saying, "Wow, thank you so much. That episode really helped me today. I now know what it is I have to do," or "You've got me thinking about something." And I think, well, like we used to say in the beginning, if I can help one person, then I'm
yes.
doing my bit. And it's not about having thousands of followers. Initially, I started with that, like, oh, what happens if people don't follow me? But if it's one follower, 10,000 followers, if I'm making a difference in someone's life, then that brings me joy.
Oh, that is so beautiful. And Michelle, I just really want to sincerely congratulate you on your 50th episode. Like,
Thank you.
what a milestone. I'm sure everything actually would just absolutely wholeheartedly agree, because this beautiful podcast is making such a difference for women in midlife. It's a
Yeah.
real go, and it's just so beautiful. And thank you so much for bringing it into the world. And I have one question left that I
Yeah.
am going to ask you. Okay, it's a little bit tricky, you know.
Okay.
All right, just so everyone can get to know you just a little bit better, because that's what we want to do. All right,
Okay.
I want you to tell us something that
Yeah.
we know about you.
Oh,
Sorry, I'm putting you on the spot.
that's so hard. Like how, oh, jeez. There are so many things. I don't know. When I Okay, so when I left school, I started my own fashion label, believe it or not. I was 18, and it's interesting because I reflect back and think I was I self-doubted all the time, but I met this person who believed in me and said, "Would you like to do something like that? Because I think you'd be really good at it. I'm happy to back you, believe it or not." And I was 18, I didn't know, and I thought, "Okay, let's give it a go." So, yeah, I did that for a couple of years, and it was fun, and I found someone who made the clothes, and some shops had my clothes in there. So maybe I had some type of entrepreneurial spirit back then, who knows? And, yeah, so that's probably something not a lot of people know about because I don't really ever mention it.
Well, that's pretty cool. Not many people can say fashion label. Wow, I did not know that about you. That is
Well, look, it was like, let's not say label. I mean, no, it wasn't anything great, but it was something, and people used to buy it, and it was fun. Another thing you probably wouldn't know is I speak 3 languages, so there you go.
what
I
are the like?
know.
That's
So
cool.
my dad's Italian, my mum's Spanish, so I
Yeah.
grew up speaking both languages. Italian is I'm more fluent in that than in Spanish, but yeah, there you go. So
Wow. Good to know.
yeah. So if you ever need
Woman of
interpreting, I'm the person for you.
woman of many talents.
Oh, well, we'll see. But
That's
thank you,
awesome.
Annie, so much for being part of this episode with me. I've loved it. I felt really comfortable to open up. It's not easy, but
No, I
hopefully it's given someone some inspiration. And if I can make 50 podcast episodes, I never would have thought that was going to be the case. Everyone can do what it is they really desire. It just takes that self belief and work.
amazing. My pleasure. My pleasure.
Thanks, love. And I'll see you in our next coaching session, which I absolutely love.
Absolutely. Can't wait. That'll be awesome.
Bye.
See ya. Bye.
Thanks for tuning into another episode of Your Second Act. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd love it if you could rate and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback means the world to me.